The 10 Commandments to Run Your Business Successfully by Shingi Gundu, 1st edition, first published in Harare by Royalty Books 2021. Copyright Shingi Gundu 2021. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means mechanical or electronic, photocopying or otherwise, without the prior permission of the author. Edited by Philip Kundani Chitavinzi. The author can be contacted on flairagency at yahoo.com or +26 37725577736. Dedication. I dedicate this book to my family, my husband Christopher, my children Christopher Tatenda, Kudze, Mutua and Michaela. You are there for me always, encouraging me and cheering me on. I thank the Almighty for all the love and support you give me. You make me proud. This is for you. Acknowledgements. I would like to acknowledge my mentor and coach, MasterCoach Blessing Dury, President of International Coaching and Mentoring Foundation ICMF, for the support he has given me to become a master coach. He gave me the courage to write my first book. He kept telling me, "Coach, it's high time you write a book." I did not believe that I could do it given my busy schedule. I would not have done this without his support. Coach James T. Nyamajawa, the ICMF board chairperson, was also instrumental in supporting me. Every time he met me, he would ask how far I had gone with writing my first book, although I hadn't started. Thank you guys, keep encouraging me. I want to write more books. Nothing is impossible when you have friends who cheer you on and believe in you. I would also want to acknowledge my son, Coach Chris Gundu. He made it easy for me by his relentless support in pushing me to get started. Thank you, son. Endorsements. This book is a must-read for all those who yearn to succeed in the business world. The author simplifies personal coaching fundamentals that usually elude many in the world of business. The book carefully lays down 10 fundamental commandments to successfully run your own business. Shingi effectively shows how personal intuition, action-oriented drive, hard work, perseverance, and positive attitudes serve as critical drivers of success in business. The transformational nature of the book is evident in how the author dealt with the issues of integrity and ethics in times such as these when most leaders display a deficit in these critical pillars of business success. Apart from encouraging the reader to lead themselves, the author provides faith in God as an overarching commandment every businessperson cannot afford to do without. By Dr. Frederick Mandesvidza, author, international speaker, coach, founder and president, Institute of Executive Leadership. If you care deeply about personal and career development, then this book is a must for you. You will learn to empower yourself with unique tools to reach new levels in both business and your personal life. It is an uplifting, inspiring book with many great lessons and real-life examples, with an engaging style that makes it hard to put down. A valuable guide to an effective life transformation by Tatenda Christopher Gundu. The 10 Commandments to Run Your Business Successfully. Forward, I have realized that life is not always what we plan it to be. Although it is great to have plans and goals, one might end up in a place or situation they never anticipated. This is my story, the tale of how I ended up where I am today. I grew up with a burning desire to become a lawyer. I remember at school I would be asked the popular question, "What do you want to become when you grow up?" My answer was always that I wanted to be a lawyer. This, however, did not happen. I was yet to attempt numerous professions before I became a human resources professional running my own business. When I left Tigwani Secondary School in the 1970s, I could not proceed to university because my father was retired from the British South Africa Police BSAP at the age of 50. I did a stint in teaching for 3 months. I later got a place to do nursing and trained for 2 years. Just before Zimbabwe's independence in 1980, opportunities started opening up in the banking sector and I joined Barclays Bank where I worked for about 5 years as an exchange control clerk before climbing the ladder to become dealing room supervisor. In 1983, I got an opportunity to study Hansard reporting in Australia for a year. When I returned home, I was advised that I was overqualified to get a position in Parliament. This did not deter me from moving on. I got a job at Turnall Fibre Cement as a personal assistant and later on, I was moved to the Human Resources Department. In a few years' time, after having acquired a qualification in human resources management, I got promoted to the position of human resources officer. I worked in this capacity for 5 years. My position was hectic and demanding. I had to travel between Harare and Bulawayo to carry out human resources duties. At that time, I had 2 little children who were only 2 years apart. My husband, who works in the aviation industry, was hardly at home. He would be out of the country every other week on duty. That meant I had to look after the children, driving them to school and picking them up most of the time by myself. This took a toll on my health and my happiness. I became overwhelmed with all the running around. It was at that stage that I realized my life was totally out of balance. I began to feel the strain and started drifting into a depression. I began to reflect on my life to come up with answers of how I had sunk into that swamp of depression. I realized that I could not continue working if I wanted to spend quality time with my children. An idea came to mind to start my own business. This would give me the financial freedom and wholesome success I had already desired. My intuition told me I had to leave my job promptly. That is exactly what it did. I registered my company in April 1990 before handing in my resignation in June of the same year. In July 1990, I started my business in a full-time capacity. The business was a huge success and grew exponentially. I have never looked back since. In this book, I will share the ingredients that I applied in order to start and grow a successful business. Commandment 1. Follow your intuition. All great men are gifted with intuition. They know without reasoning or analysis what they need to know. Alexis Carrel. Intuition is one of the most difficult leadership skills to develop as it entails using one's natural aptitude to discern problems, actions, and outcomes. Whenever one faces indecision and doubt, they can apply the law of intuition, according to John Maxwell. You know what you want to do because it feels right. You know what to do without knowing how you know, as it were. Intuition can also be defined as an immediate understanding or knowing something without reasoning. One example is that of love at first sight. You meet someone and you just know this is the one you love without reasoning or taking time to know them. Intuition can be described as a hunch, a feeling, an aha moment, a gut feeling. I call intuition knowing without knowing how you know. It is like a sixth sense which tells you about something and you get a strong feeling that it is the right thing. When you follow that feeling, you are usually on the right track. That is what happened to me before I left my job. I had a very strong hunch, or intuition, that I had to leave my job and start my own business. When I told my husband that I was contemplating leaving my job, he laughed. He advised me that the idea was a mistake and that no one would give me business in the employment industry because the gurus in that business were mainly whites who had been at it for years. My intuition was, however, so strong that I immediately began to apply for company registration. As soon as I had enough potential names for the name search, I submitted my papers to the Registrar of Companies, and in June 1990, Flair Employment Agency was launched. I got very excited and followed my intuition with confidence and hope of starting a vibrant business that was going to liberate me. I imagined making my own decisions about where I wanted the business to be located, who I wanted to employ, how much I wanted to pay myself, the time I would put into my work and how much time I would spend with my children and how often I would go on holiday. It was a thrilling and liberating feeling. So, what am I saying here? My belief is that following your intuition will help you to make important decisions in your life. Follow your heart, follow your gut feeling, and, more often than not, you will be in the right track. In his biography, Steve Jobs touted the power of intuition and described its impact on his work at the helm of Apple. In his Stanford speech in 2005, Jobs credited his intuitive mind as having a significant impact on his work. You have to trust in something, he said. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Commandment 2. Take action. Do not let perfection be the enemy of the good. Unknown. In his book, Thou Shalt Prosper, Rabbi Daniel Lapin says do not pursue perfection. He says, neither neglect the imperfect. Don't expend yourself on futile pursuit of perfection while failing to make the most of less perfect circumstances. We know that life generally is not perfect. If we wait for the perfect opportunity, or the perfect conditions or perfect environment, we will not be able to achieve much. We operate businesses in an environment or system which does not function perfectly for all people at all times. I have learned over the years that perfection is a myth. There is no one that is perfect except our Creator. The individual is not a perfect being. Neither are families, the environment and society we are in. The desire to perfect our work and ideas becomes the enemy to progress. Having that revelation, I did not waste time waiting for a perfect environment to start my business. When I got the intuition that I had to leave and start my own business, I swung into action. I inquired about registering a company, got the information and started the process. The company was registered in April 1990, and in June of the same year, I acquired offices to start operations and recruited staff. In the same month, I handed in my resignation. This was despite the fact that my immediate boss was on leave. The desire to get started was so strong that I could not wait. I believed that if I waited for him to return from leave, he would dissuade me. On July 1st, 1990, I was working on a full-time basis at the business premises. Neither neglect the imperfect nor expend yourself on futile pursuit of perfection while failing to make the most of less perfect circumstances. Rabbi Daniel Lapin. I believe that is what we need to do when we have a strong desire to start a business. Don't wait for perfect time. Take action and do what you have to do. Do not listen to naysayers. If I hadn't swung into action at that time, most probably I wouldn't have launched Flair Employment Agency. Most people have brilliant business ideas. They know what they want in life, but they procrastinate. The procrastination leads to failure to put into action these ideas. People often procrastinate because they are afraid of failing at the task that they need to accomplish. Fear of failure promotes procrastination. A person who procrastinates usually delays or puts off work, chores, or other actions that should be done in a timely manner. If you put off everything until you're sure of it, you'll never get anything done. Other people delay taking action because they want to make sure that their preparations are perfect before they can begin. Perfectionism does not exist. The perfectionist usually achieves very little. Never put off till tomorrow what you can do today. www.successories.com. It is good to yearn for perfection, but never allow it to paralyze you. In life, we need to function within less than ideal circumstances, otherwise we will fail to act. If we wait for perfect solution, the perfect time and perfect conditions, we may be paralyzed to the extent of failing to achieve anything significant. In both your business and personal life, endeavor to become comfortable with the second best solution if the very best solution is unattainable. Rabbi Lapin. Those who are not perfectionists have more often than not attained much compared to those who seek perfectionism. When I started my business, I wanted it to be based in the city center. I, however, got some offices in Harari Street. The offices were lovely, but the area was not what I really wanted, as it is located at the outskirts of the central business district. I, however, wanted to start my business as soon as was possible. I, therefore, took those offices, and the decision worked very well. I later on moved to a more ideal place that I really liked a year later. If I had procrastinated, waiting to get the perfect offices, I might not have started at all. Commandment 3. Work hard, stay focused. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. Confucius. This quote resonates with how I started prospering in the first year of my business. I realized that the only way to succeed was to work very hard. Hard work is not just about listening to others who are running their businesses or just observing how others are doing, but the trick is in the doing. One needs to work very hard to be successful in business. I realized that if I wanted positive results, I needed to put in my all. That entailed all my effort, my knowledge, my skills and experience, my money and my ideas. I had to put in my all. There are no half measures. That is crucial if one is to succeed in running their business. The first year was spent actively looking for clients. I would literally go out every day to market the business. This was the only way I would get paying clients. I drove to all the light and heavy industrial sites, Masasa, City Center, and Graniteside to look for clients. The move paid dividends. I remember one day. It was very busy in town and I was not comfortable driving in congested traffic. I decided to use public transport and was seen by one of my biggest clients jumping into a combi. He later called me and said, "Shingi, you really work hard. You even go to visit clients by combi, but that's not you, Kakwira combi." I explained to him the reason and he laughed. At that time, I actually had 2 cars, a Pulsar and a Mitsubishi Lancer. Those were the latest models at that time. When you know what you want to achieve in your business, you need to focus. Without focus, you can easily get distracted. Janaki Katti, a coach from India, designed a focus model which one can use in focusing on whatever they want to achieve. This is how it can be simplified. Letter O, own your goal. Letter C, create action plans. Letter U, understand your inner work. Letter S, stick to your plan. I have applied the focus model in most projects and I have been able to reach my goals. Here it is again simplified. Letter F, first find out what you want in life. That is your major goal. Letter O. O stands for owning your goals. You cannot make anyone responsible for them. Letter C. C is for creating your action plan. Goals without plans useless to action or anyone. Letter U. U stands for understanding your inner work. This will entail introspecting and finding out who you are. What drives you, your attitude, strengths, and weaknesses. Letter S. The final one, the S stands for stick to it. Don't give up. Just do what you have to do in order to succeed. A lot of people know what they want in life but are reluctant to put their all into it. If we do not put our all and we do not focus, we are bound to fail. Hard work is a crucial ingredient for success. Most people want the fruits of running a successful business but are not willing to work hard for it. That will not work. The Bible in Proverbs 6:10 says, "A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber." Hard work and focus will give you good results. The 10 Commandment to run your business successfully. Commandment 4. Persevere. There is no business that one does without facing challenges. It was the same with me. As my business grew, I got overwhelmed with the work. The business had expanded to Mudair and Bulawayo. I had to hire more and more staff. Employing staff comes with its own challenges, which included coaching and onboarding of new consultants to operate in an ethical and professional manner, dealing with misconduct, negotiations for salaries, dealing with corrupt staff, and other challenges faced in running a business. The rapid expansion had other challenges such as monitoring staff from a distance and traveling to Mudair and Bulawayo often. These challenges had to be confronted head-on. As the business grew, the challenges also grew. But did I give up? Certainly not. I persevered through thick and thin. The business flourished exponentially to the surprise of many, including competitors. It also surprised me how I managed to get it there. I had persevered and weathered all the storms, but the challenges kept coming. We were also hit by the massive wave of hyperinflation that gripped the country between 2008 and 2010. It was becoming increasingly difficult to operate in an environment where prices of goods and services were changing every few minutes. This had a big toll on the business. Inflation bit deeper into our coffers, chewing more and more of our profits. The properties that had been acquired for the business were now being sold off because the economy had become very harsh. Did I give up because of the hyperinflation? No, I soldiered on. In 2010, as the rentals kept going up while the business slowed to a crawl, I made a decision to move the business to my home in Mandara. This was part of my perseverance plan. I knew the business had to go on and it did. Now looking back at this decision, I realized that Flair is now way ahead of most companies in terms of working from home. When most companies were hit by the coronavirus pandemic early in 2020 and their staff had to work from home, we were not fazed by the turn of events because we were already doing that. The new norm to most companies was not really new to us except that we couldn't do most trainings and coaching face-to-face but virtually. Perseverance pays. If you want to succeed, expect challenges and face them head-on without giving up. A good example is that of Econet Wireless founder and executive chairman, Dr. Strive Masiwa. Did he give up when he failed to get an operating license at the first try? No. Did he persevere? Yes, he did. Where is Dr. Masiwa now? The rest is history. If he hadn't persevered, where would he be now? Maybe nowhere. Perseverance pays. Other examples are that of the Wright brothers, who invented the airplane, and Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. Edison said, "I have not failed. I've found 10 ways that won't work." That is how many times he tried. He also said, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." Colonel Harlan David Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Chicken, lost his job at 66 and could not survive on Social Security. He went around the city selling his recipe for chicken, and he was turned down 1,009 times until someone said, yes, that is perseverance. He became a millionaire at an age when others were retiring. He was brave and tenacious man. One has to remember that every failure can be a stepping stone to something better. Colonel Sanders passed on in 1980, but his legacy lives on. Do what you feel in your heart to be right. You'll be damned if you do, and damned if you don't. Therefore, if you have a dream, pursue it and persevere until you succeed. In 2020, Flair HR Consultants celebrated its 30th anniversary under the leadership of Shingi Gundu. It is going strong and is alive and well. Is this luck? No. Is this perseverance? Yes. Commandment 5. Maintain a positive attitude. What is attitude? The term attitude refers to an individual's mental state, which is based on their beliefs or value system, emotions, and the tendency to act in a certain way. One's attitude reflects how one thinks, feels, and behaves in a given situation. Attitude can also be defined as our response to people, places, things, or events in life. It can be referred to as a person's viewpoint, mindset, beliefs, etc. Our attitude towards people, places, things, or situations determines the choices that we make. Attitude is composed of 3 components: the cognitive, affective, emotional, and behavioral component. Confidence, optimism, sincerity, and reliability are traits that represent positive attitude. From the time I decided to start my own business, I realized it was going to be essential to maintain a positive attitude. Most people who do not have a positive attitude in life do not usually succeed in running a business. In business, you have to believe that the business is going to flourish, that the customers are going to keep supporting you even in a harsh environment. You have to be optimistic, sincere, and be reliable. If you start believing that you can't, then for sure you will not make it. A positive attitude says, I will do my best regardless of the environment, regardless of what people say, regardless of the odds against me, and regardless of naysayers. Individuals who have a positive attitude will pay attention to the good, rather than bad in people, situations, events, etc. They will not consider a mistake or failure as a hurdle, but as an opportunity to forge ahead. They learn from mistakes and move forward in life. This knowledge helped me in running my business because I made mistakes, lots of them, but I have learned from them. I have always believed that every human has been gifted by the Almighty, and therefore, there is no one who is useless. I believe in the brilliance of every human being. This attitude gives me hope when dealing with people. They can be my employees or my clients. I believe in their brilliance. When they make mistakes, I know they are human. Because of this belief in people, I have found it very easy to forgive. I have had employees stealing from me, but I have forgiven. I have also had clients who have been unfaithful and lacked integrity and honesty in our business dealings. But I have also come to believe that they are human, and I have forgiven them and moved on. I do not believe in keeping grudges. Forgiving and loving others liberates you and sets you free. Dale Carnegie says, attitude is a choice. I chose to have a positive attitude and maintain it at all times. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Maya Angelou. It is very easy to be negative when you are operating in a hostile environment like we are living in right now. There is a lot of negativity stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic, from the harsh economic, political, sociological, and technological environment. One can choose to complain and be negative, or to stop complaining and have a positive attitude. A positive attitude in this environment requires one to continue setting their goals and working towards their achievement. When you do that, life goes on. You might not reach all your goals, but at least you will be taking action. One with a negative attitude will not bother putting effort in what they do because they see the environment, the people, the systems, the politics, and the business environment presenting hurdles. When one does that, they stop working towards goal attainment. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control your attitude toward what happens to you, and in that, you will be mastering change rather than allowing it to master you. Hatred, pessimism, resentment, and doubt are traits that represent a negative attitude. People with a negative attitude ignore the good and pay attention to the bad in people, situations, and events, etc. They are also likely to complain about changes, rather than adapt to the changing environment. Coupled with this, they might blame their failure on others. With a negative attitude, it is hard to prosper or to progress in life. It is thus a choice that we make as individuals to have a positive or a negative attitude. I chose to have a positive attitude, and I have found that it gives me peace of mind, happiness, and prosperity, both spiritually and physically. There is a definite correlation between business success and a positive attitude. You cannot be pessimistic, hateful, doubtful, and untrusting, complaining about the environment and expect to grow. Positive people believe that they make things happen, while negative people believe that things happen to them. If they don't get that loan, it was favoritism. If they fail their master's degree, it was the lecturer who was jealous of their Mercedes-Benz. If they get divorced, it was a jealous aunt who used juju to make that happen. If they get infected with COVID-19, it was that uncle who came to visit who gave it to them deliberately because he was jealous. The list goes on. Such a negative mentality is very harmful to the human being. It is also a negative mindset that leads to various illnesses, stress, and general unhappiness. I will choose to be happy and do my best in whatever situation I find myself in. Commandment 6. Be passionate about what you do. We have often heard people say, I am passionate about watching soccer, I am passionate about playing with my family, I am passionate about watching television, and so on. What is passion? Passion is the energy that keeps us going. That keeps us filled with meaning and happiness, excitement and anticipation. It is a powerful force in accomplishing your dreams or anything you set your mind to, and also in experiencing work and life to the fullest extent possible. Passion is ultimately the driving force behind success and happiness that allows us to live a better life. Harriet Tubman says, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer." Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. I believe you can only accomplish this if you are passionate about what you are doing. What am I passionate about? I am passionate about serving people. My mantra is, here to serve, inspire, and transform. I have a passion for transforming lives. I am at my best when I am giving to the needy or helping the needy and just putting a smile on someone's face. That is what energizes me. It is not surprising that I am in the human relations and coaching business. It is my passion to serve and exhort and make a difference in others. It gives me the greatest joy. I actively look for opportunities to serve. During the famous hyperinflation of 2008, my friends would say that if you spend an hour talking to Shingi, you will think you are in another country, not Zimbabwe, because when you are in her company, she will encourage you and make you feel that you can accomplish anything. And those who were around me who had believed in me started great business due to my exhortations and encouragement. Passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. Oprah Winfrey. I am a people person. I am passionate about changing lives and changing behaviors and attitudes so that people feel good about themselves. Find out your passion and God-given purpose before you delve into a business venture. When you have made the discovery, it is best to run a business around your passion. That way you are always energized to see it work because you will be doing something you love, something you are passionate about. I remember around 1998, I decided to diversify into other areas of business. The first venture was a hairdressing salon in Hatfield. I saw an advert in the paper one day and I called this lady Mrs. Fan. She was passionate about what she did and she was doing very well. I knew nothing about salons. What I had heard from other people was that one could not go wrong with salons, and I went for it. That was a disaster because I knew nothing about the business. Little did I know that the lady who had sold the salon to me had decided to do the business from home and had taken all her clients with her. They were doing Caucasian hair. The business now needed to be advertised in order to attract both black and white clients. The white clients migrated to their hairdresser. Nothing is as important as passion. No matter what you want to do with your life, be passionate. John Bon Jovi. I recruited hairdressers who supervised themselves because I had no passion for hair salons. All I wanted was to diversify into other areas besides human resources. That diversification never really happened because the business wasn't properly managed. I realized I had to sell the business within 6 months of acquiring it. It, however, took me a whole year to find a buyer. The lesson I learned was that when you want to go into business, it is advisable to focus on something that speaks to your passion. This more often than not produces results all the time. The following year, I decided to venture into the food business. I was getting information from people in the food industry that Chinese food was the in thing. Without putting too much thought into it, Elle acquired a shop at Camphansa Shopping Center in the leafy suburb of Greendale in Harare and opened a Chinese takeaway. This was a big project which involved starting from scratch in terms of buying the equipment, getting it licensed and all. It was an expensive venture and I put my all into it. I even went to one Chinese takeaway that was in Avondale and poached all the employees to join me. It was a very successful venture for just 1 year. Within 6 months after opening the place, another Chinese takeaway was opened nearby at Newlands Shopping Center, and within a few months another one at Rhodesville. Competition got stiff and business began to slow down. I spent most of my time at the employment agency because that's where my passion was. I would only pass through the takeaway in the evening to collect money. That business was too hectic and too involved, and I never got myself to really understand it. I would appoint managers to run the place, but some would steal from me. Within 2 years, the business started to falter. When the economy suffered from hyperinflation, so did the business slow down. Besides the inflation, what mainly made it fail was that I had no passion for the food industry. My aim was to diversify and earn more money. This never really materialized because the business was now eating into the main business. The result was that the employment agency was now supporting a business which was not bringing in much. What lesson did I learn from this? I learned that when you do business in an area where your passion is, it is highly likely to prosper. You tend to put your energy where your passion is, and that will result in success and growth. Finally, I closed the Chinese takeaway and opened a fashion boutique. The main reason was that I now had a shop and had to find something to do with it. I just didn't want to let go. The shop was still located at Camphansa Shopping Center. My clients were mainly friends. I put relatives to run it, but most of the time I was making losses because they were not faithful in running the business. My passion wasn't in the fashion business. You have to be burning with an idea or a problem or a wrong that you want to right. If you are not passionate enough from the start, you'll never stick it out. Steve Jobs. Eventually, I realized that the only thing that energized me is serving, inspiring, and transforming people. This led me to advance myself to become a coach and, later, a master coach. That is what energizes me. I love what I do and I am passionate about it. A great lesson I learned from these experiences is that you should have passion for what you do and you will succeed. No passion equals no energy, which also equals no success. The 10 Commandments to run your business successfully. Commandment 7. Integrity and ethics. Real integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Whether you are doing it right or not, it is about being honest and trustworthy. Only a person who has those values can operate a business ethically. Integrity is an essential quality that an entrepreneur should possess because it is an act of life. When a person has a strong moral character, they are said to be a person of integrity, and to live an honest life is said to be the most important virtue a person can have. People should do what they say. This is especially important when you are offering a service to a client. Ethical integrity is an essential quality because it is an act of being honest and trustworthy in all aspects of life. When a person says one thing and does another, it is not ethical. There is a direct correlation between business success and ethical integrity. Flair Employment Agency, which I have been running for over 30 years, is still standing because of my ethical conduct and integrity in the way I run the business. From the time the business was launched in 1990, I made it a point that my staff were conscientized on their ethical behavior in dealing with peers and customers. I emphasized that if anyone was dishonest or took bribes from clients and carry out any such unacceptable behavior, they would be reprimanded or dismissed from the organization. Ethics is the study of right and wrong conduct and is built on consequences. Ruggiero. Although these controls were in place, we experienced instances of clients that wanted bribes in exchange for business. Our response was always an emphatic no. When the economy in the country continued to deteriorate more and more, some of our competitors were giving bribes to clients to get business. I remember an incident when we placed a fitter and turner with a client and submitted an invoice. The HR manager decided to bring the check in person to our offices. I was conducting a training session and the receptionist called me saying that HR manager wanted to see me. I got out and asked him to come to my office. He gave me the check and said to me, "Mrs. Gundu, what's in it for me?" "What do you mean?" I asked. He asked what we were going to do for him for giving us business. I was quite surprised by his tenacity to say that to me with no concern about the consequences if I decided to report him to his boss. I explained to him that our business was to give his organization the right person for the job and we would get paid for that service as was clear in our agreement. Even mentioned that it was not even necessary for him to bring the check in person as he could have sent a messenger with it. After that incident, he never gave us business again. I later heard from him 3 years down the line when he had lost his job. He had the guts to phone me at least once a month or so to inquire if there were HR positions in our organization. You can guess what happened. I was very hesitant to consider him for a position with any organization because of his unethical conduct. Moral authority comes from following universal and timeless principles like honesty, integrity, treating people with respect. Unknown. At one conference a few years ago, I was talking to some HR managers during tea break and someone raised the issue of bribes. One manager said, "Flair does not give you anything in return for giving them business, so I have stopped dealing with them." This was a public pronouncement and I was rather taken aback. He was not even apologetic about it. To him, it was expected for clients to pay bribes because of the harsh economic environment. We had a few discussions with others on the matter, but I realized that there were some unethical HR practitioners who were encouraging this unprofessional conduct. Most unethical companies have become defunct. Flair is still going on, and I believe it is because of the professional conduct in which we do business. I can confidently say that there is a direct correlation between ethical conduct and company longevity. Ethical conduct is expected by most customers. Have the courage to say no. Have the courage to face the truth. Do the right thing. These are the magic keys to living your life with integrity, says W. Clement Stone. I have done my best to be an entrepreneur with integrity, who is honest, trustworthy, and respects clients. I believe this has paid dividends, and I'm proud of myself in this regard. With integrity, you have nothing to fear since you have nothing to hide. With integrity, you will do the right thing so you will have no guilt. As I have said, the first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. Great peacemakers are all people of integrity, of honesty, and humility. Nelson Mandela. Commandment 8. Develop yourself consistently. Self-development is a process of consciously improving oneself in various aspects of one's life. It is a conscious pursuit of personal growth by improving personal skills, competencies, talents, and knowledge. Wikipedia. Self-development is key in personal growth. The world we live in is not static. We live in a VUCA environment where the way we do business must change. One cannot tell what tomorrow holds for their business. The COVID-19 pandemic is a good example. It has disrupted the traditional and conventional way of doing business. Almost every business is now being done virtually. If you are a business person and you don't quickly catch up and develop your skills to manage your business in the new way, you are bound to go defunct. The fourth industrial revolution is here with us. Times are changing very fast, and one has to change with the times if they are to stay relevant. Given what is happening globally, can one really be content with a degree they acquired 10 years ago? Certainly not. We need to move with the times. We must develop ourselves consistently. Otherwise, we become irrelevant. Self-improvement is the name of the game, and your primary objective is to strengthen yourself, not to destroy an opponent. Maxwell Maltz. A number of people are content with acquiring that first degree. They believe it's enough to get them the job they want and to move up the ladder in organizations. But what they don't realize is that self-improvement is a continuous process. There is always something about ourselves that we can improve on. We should not be satisfied with being good, but with always getting better. I have always had a passion to serve and impact lives, to transform people and to help them be the best version of themselves. This cannot be done if I am not growing. I need to always look at what is happening around me and globally and decide where I can develop myself in order to be a game changer. Technology is also disrupting lives and businesses at a phenomenal rate. We are now in the fourth industrial revolution, with technology changing almost daily. If we remain static, we will not be able to cope with these changes. We need to move and change with the times. When I left Tigwani Secondary School after completing my O-levels, I was hoping to do my O-levels and pursue my dream to become a lawyer. I was, however, disappointed because my father got retired from the BSAP, where he was employed as a police sergeant. He could no longer afford the fees, as I had 3 other siblings who were in boarding school. Did I give up on bettering and developing myself? Of course not. I took up every opportunity to develop myself that came my way. I did a stint at temporary teaching for a few months, then left to train as a nurse for 2 years. When opportunities arose, I went to Australia to study Hansard reporting. My purpose in all that was to grow. I had acquired a secretarial diploma and joined Turnall Fiber Cement as a HR assistant. HR practices and practitioners of the analog era must gradually give way to emerging HR practices and strategies. The rising digital era HR profession is dominated by new perspectives rooted in a digital mindset focusing on attracting, recruiting, developing, and retaining high-potential digital era talent with competencies that can drive Industry 4.0 technologies in the quest for digital competitiveness. flairagency, Digital Labor Markets and Jobs of the Future. While at Turnall, I desired to develop myself further and I acquired a diploma in personnel management. My appetite for self-development was so huge that when IPM introduced the advanced diploma, they would advise me when they had completed designing a module so I would get ready to write it. I would write the exam and wait for them to release the next module. I completed the program's advanced level. Only a few of us managed to complete the advanced course at that time. As I waited to work on the final practical project, a new long-distance university was born. This was Zimbabwe Open University. I was still keen to have that degree that I had failed to obtain earlier because of my financial situation. I applied to do their MBA program and I became part of their first intake. After completion, I was still yearning to improve myself and acquired other qualifications such as train the trainer, strategic management, and human resources management for small businesses with the International Labor Organization. I also acquired several other short course qualifications. Was I satisfied with all this? Of course not. I later decided to do a master's degree with Midlands State University. This was because of my love for strategic management. I registered in 2005 to do the Master of Commerce in Strategic Management and Corporate Governance. On completion, I still knew that was not enough. In 2016, I studied life coaching while in Namibia. I, however, did not get certified. When I realized that the International Coaching Mentoring Foundation was providing life coaching certification, I knew that was what I wanted to do. This was going to give me the opportunity to transform, inspire, and change lives from a different dimension. I initially did the International Public Speaking course. After 3 months, I decided that I needed to do the life coaching certification and I pursued it, completing it in 2017. In 2020, I decided to join ICMF's Master Coaching class and I graduated as a Master Coach in December 2020. Have I developed myself enough? No, I don't think so. I'm now going to start working on acquiring a doctorate in business administration. I have acquired other certifications and trained the trainer corporate governance training human resources audit. Every year, I attend refresher courses on corporate governance and strategic management. I need to keep an up-to-date as I sit on some boards. Please note, however, that self-development is not only about studying, but one needs to develop themselves in various ways. I develop myself by reading every day. I am usually reading about 3 or 4 books at any given time. As I write this, I am reading 4 books. The more books I read, the more knowledge I gain and I expose myself to personal growth. Reading books also grows your mindset and gives you a broad perspective about a lot of issues. I have read some of the books 3 times or more. The books I am currently reading and rereading include Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, The Millionaire Next Door, Thomas J. Stanley, Slight Edge, Jeff Olson, Refutable Laws of Management, John Maxwell, The Nature of Morality, Gilbert Harmon, True Emotional Freedom, Siegfried Lange, Labor Markets and Digital Jobs of the Future, flairagency, The Power of Positive Confessions, Don Goddard and Dr. E.W. Kenyon, Secrets of the Prophetic, Kim Clement, Becoming the Best Version of You, Prudence Madzivara, Don't Throw Away Your Tomorrow, Robert H. Schuller, 30 Days to Becoming a Woman of Prayer, Stormy Amarsha, Thou Shalt Prosper, Rabbi Lapin, A Holy Bible. You will also be amazed to know that in the Bible, you learn a lot of business principles that, if you apply, you will see a shift in the way you run your business. It explores issues of integrity, teamwork, delegation, leadership, decision-making, corruption, planning, stress management, and discovering your God-given purpose. They are all in the Bible. You just have to know where to find them. Reading truly broadens your mind. You can also read articles and newspapers. I have also developed myself by learning a new language. Have been learning Portuguese and it has become handy. When I stayed in Namibia for a while, I discovered that the church that had the closest values to my church, Glad Tidings, offered its sermons in Portuguese. I thoroughly enjoyed the services because they gave me an opportunity to learn the language more. Learning a new language is a mind-opening experience. I also developed myself by getting involved in a new hobby. I chose golf and I am very passionate about it, although I am still a lousy golfer. I enjoy the business networking that happens on the golf course and opportunities to meet and interact with new people. Another way I develop myself is attending networking groups. I also meet a lot of people and learn a lot about what others are doing out there. Beginning of the year 2021, I decided to develop myself further by trying farming in my garden. I have put about 20 beds of sweet potatoes and a few shrubs of strawberries. To me, all this is another way of self-development. Finally, I always make sure that I exercise at home. I do about 20 to 30 minutes or more of running around the house for at least 4 times a week. This is liberating. I get to pray and meditate as I do these rounds at the getting fit and keeping on shape. Why not every day at least to hear a little song, read a good poem, see a fine picture, and if it were possible to speak a few reasonable words? By unknown. So, self-development is not about studying alone. It's a combination of activities and habits that you can harness to make your life more meaningful, purposeful, and enjoyable. The 10 Commandment to run your business successfully. Commandment 9. Lead yourself first. Mastering others is strength. Mastering oneself is true power. Lao Tzu. The way you lead yourself as an entrepreneur is very important if you are to succeed. If you cannot lead yourself, how can you expect to lead others? Self-leadership is how you lead your own life. It's all about setting your goals and following them through, making the necessary changes along the way. Because business and your life are connected, it is important to consider how you interact with clients, colleagues, and your own staff in the organization. Self-leadership will make you proactive, disciplined, and an independent decision maker. Without a strong sense of leadership, you tend to feel like you are not in control of yourself, you lack focus, and easily get overwhelmed with what you are doing. It also involves knowing yourself by asking the question, who am I really? Know where you want to go, what you are capable of accomplishing. Do you have the ability to manage your emotions and behavior? All this will guide you towards success. Knowing yourself is the ability to identify your strengths and your weaknesses and the threats and opportunities in the environment where you operate. It is also knowing yourself in terms of your attitude, emotional intelligence, state the resources that you have and the goals that you have set for yourself. The ability of leading yourself rests on a foundation of 4 core practices, namely purposefulness, mindfulness, reflection, and practice. FlagstaffBusinessNews.com. A number of tools can be used, and these include personal SWOT analysis, the Johari window, and the Wheel of Life. The Johari window allows you to connect with people in your environment and being vulnerable and open in order for them to be able to give you feedback. This is because, more often than not, we think we know ourselves well, and yet people in our environment may know things about us that we don't know. Giving you this information will help you to know yourself better. The SWOT analysis, which I mentioned earlier, is also a good tool in knowing yourself better in terms of your strengths and weaknesses. Becoming aware of your general attitude will help you to improve or change your attitude or behavior in order to work with others better. If, for instance, you have a bad attitude, you will need to work on it to become positive. Someone with a positive attitude usually sees possibilities, is confident, courageous, and is willing to work with others. Those with a negative attitude will generally see failure and obstacles when they want to grow. They don't have self-confidence, always blame others for their bad luck, and hardly see the good in other people. They are usually depressed, unhappy, and very unproductive. I believe that I am good at self-leadership. I believe in myself. I believe that I can achieve anything I set out to achieve. Most importantly, I believe in the brilliance of my clients when coaching. I see goodness in people, and I love to work with people, change their lives, and help them to achieve their best. With a positive attitude, you can lead yourself in most areas. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And I love to work. Plato, self-leadership and self-motivation helped me to start my own business. I knew I had to develop myself first and continue to do so as I am doing now. I knew that for my business to thrive, I had to work long hours and travel around the industrial sites looking to meet clients and establish business relationships. This worked because I believed in myself. I was self-motivated to wake up early to achieve the goals I had set for myself and to accomplish what I set out to accomplish. No one pushed me to do what I did. I led myself and I motivated myself. Self-leadership is also about having an open mindset, which says I can do anything I set myself to do. A closed mindset says that is not possible. It says, I am too young or I am too old. I do not have what it takes. This is not me. No one has ever done it in my family. What if people laugh at me when I fail? And so on. These are just excuses, which make you doubt your capabilities and lead you to procrastinate. Procrastination will eventually lead you to not try out the business ideas that you have. Self-leadership is also about having an internal locus of control. This says that whatever you do comes from within. I am the one responsible for my destiny or failure. I am responsible for my business success or failure. A person with an external locus of control, on the other hand, believes that bad things happen to them. They will blame others for all their failures. They will blame the lecturers at the university for failing their thesis and point fingers at their uncle for their failure in life because they were unable to pay for their fees on time when their parents passed on. They will blame the weather for failing to harvest a crop. They will accuse their aunt for destroying their chances of getting married by telling the prospective boyfriend nasty things about them. They will blame their boss for not promoting them at work because he favored his cronies. They will blame their wife for their failures because she didn't contribute in the home financially like other women. They will blame their children for their demise at an old age because they failed to go to the diaspora to work and send them money like what their neighbors' children are doing. There is always someone to blame. They will blame the environment, the system, the government, the church, family and friends, etc. Align your personality with your purpose and nobody can touch you. Oprah Winfrey. I am glad that when I started my business in 1990, I had discovered my purpose and my God-given gift that was to serve, to exhort and transform others. When I aligned this to my business, it energized me in a way I had never thought possible. When you do something in line with your gift, you can hardly fail. This is because doing the work becomes exciting and enjoyable. You do not want anyone to lead you or push you to do what you have to do. You are energized day in and day out because you enjoy what you are doing. You work up every day looking forward to do what you do best. That is self-leadership. I mentioned earlier about the time I decided to go to the Zimphos area in Msasa and wasn't sure how to get there and I didn't feel comfortable driving there. I then decided I would get into a bus. One of my clients, who was the head of HR for a company in the heavy industrial site, saw me getting into the bus. He later called my office and said, "Shingi, where is your car? I saw you getting a bus. What happened?" I told him I had left the car at the office, was not comfortable driving through town on a Friday to Msasa. He laughed and said, "Mary Wazo da Shua." 3. He didn't realize then that what was driving me was the love of what I was doing. Self-motivated. I was leading myself and doing what mattered to me most. I would get business in most companies that I went to. Self-leadership is the beginning of true leadership that is effective. When your subordinates see you leading yourself and leading them well, they get motivated to do the same. The ability to triumph begins with you. My advice to those who want to grow in any area of their lives is to master the skills of self-leadership in order for them to be able to lead others. The best place to start is by changing your mindset, and some tips that can help you include changing your mindset by spending your time around positive people you spend your time the most with. These will encourage you and motivate you to become the best version of yourself. Leadership is an opportunity to serve. It is not a trumpet call to self-importance. Unknown. Lions never appear to be petty and never should you. Don't associate with cunning and petty little people, even though they may make you their head in little time. They will succeed in bringing you low. If, however, you succeed in associating yourself with people of stature and true greatness, even if you start off as their tail, they will encourage you, elevate you, and give you every opportunity for growth. Being a lion means doing everything possible to elevate others. Quote by Unknown. I love the quote about elevating others because it really encourages me in my associations with people. You will also need to acknowledge and embrace imperfections. We are not all perfect. Let us face our imperfections and work on them. I grew up timid because my siblings were very assertive, if not aggressive. I remember one day my father beating me up for always crying after being beaten up by my younger sister. He told me to stand up for myself and not let my younger siblings boss me around. It has taken me a long time to deal with being assertive. I get intimidated by a certain type of people, especially aggressive women, but I am still working on it. Some issues take time to deal with. The most important thing is to accept that you have a challenge and then get in motion to deal with it. I am still working on my self-confidence as well. There are situations where I can be very confident, and in other situations, I can be very terrified to speak to a group of people. With the same group, one day I am overconfident, and when I am called another day, I will speak but shake like a reed. It happens. So, life success is work in progress. One has to keep working. You will not be perfect, but you will reach a stage where you say, I think I am doing the best I can. It also helps to always try different learning tactics. If you keep doing something the same way and failing, then you are not learning. Ask for help and change tactics. Never say that you have failed. Rather say, you have been unsuccessful this time around. Then try again. The word failure gives permanence to your situation and will demotivate you from trying. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again but expecting different results. Albert Einstein. We also don't need to always seek other people's approval. When you have an idea, keep it to yourself until you have commenced implementing it. Some people that we seek approval from will discourage you, maybe because they are jealous or they don't see how you can succeed if they cannot achieve anything. Believe in yourself. When you see approval, you have to use the advice with a pinch of salt. Commandment 10. Trust in God. For I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. I grew up in a Christian family. My parents were elders in the Dutch Reformed Church. They were very strict about us going to church every Sunday. At 12, I got born again. I, however, backslid after leaving secondary school. I later repented and went back to the Lord, where I got back my peace that surpasses all understanding. I know and believe that God is in control of my life. I entrust everything into His hands. That is, my family, my marriage, my business, my relationships with my brothers and sisters. My prayer is that God goes before me in everything that I do. I love God and I love the Word of God because it gives me hope, comfort, strength, and happiness. Because of my relationship with God, I know that He has good plans for my life always, and I dedicate everything I do into His capable hands. Although I always wanted to be a lawyer, as I indicated earlier, I ended up exactly where God wanted me to be. I discovered at an early age the love I had for people, the way I wanted to make my parents and my siblings happy, the way I gave to others even at an early age was God preparing for His purpose. I later on in life discovered that God gave me gifts, and I needed to use these gifts even to advance my business career. These are the gifts of serving, giving, and exhortation. When I look at these gifts, I see their alignment with the work I do in human resources and in coaching. At the beginning of creation, God commanded us to have dominion over the earth. And God said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." This scripture really inspires me a lot. It makes me realize that leadership is not for a few. It makes me realize that I am a leader, and leading is a choice that I can make. I thus decided to lead myself and to lead others in a godly manner. Everyone who desires to lead can be a leader. We do not have to all be managers giving orders in an office. Leading, according to the Word of God, is for everyone who chooses to lead. God has given us a lot of resources on earth. We can take advantage of these resources to our advantage. These include the sea, birds, cattle, and over all the earth. So, why don't we have dominion over these things? I believe that anyone who wants to succeed in life can do so because the resources are there for us. We only need to look around us and inside of us to see them and make sure they manifest. I believe God wants every one of His children to enjoy life fully, and He has provided the resources. But why don't we? Excuses include, I am not educated, I don't have capital, I don't have the skills, I don't have the education, I don't know how, and no one in my family ever amounted to anything. Let us read the Word of God and let God guide us. Pray for God to show you your God-given purpose if you don't know it, and start putting it to use. We all have something in us that God put in there. Let it out and put it to use. Leadership and entrepreneurship are for anyone who is willing. We have dominion over plants, fish, birds, and the ground. What limits us are our thoughts. We usually see the negative whenever we want to start a business venture. Where will the money come from? What if I fail? Proverbs 23:7 says, "For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." The heart is your mind, your head. If you believe you can, then you can. If you think you can't, you can't. What we do or our behaviors emanate from our thoughts. It is, therefore, important that if we want to prosper, if we want to start a business venture, let us entertain positive thoughts. What you continuously see or hear continuously is what you become. For this reason, I saturate myself with the Word. God wants us to prosper. God wants us to become the best we can become. But I believe most of us don't give ourselves the chance because of our negative thoughts and unbelief in what we can accomplish if we try. I love what Miles Monroe says about leaders, that leadership is born when toleration ends. Do something about your situation. Whatever you tolerate, you will never change. He also says that leaders are usually angry people. When you decide you have had enough, a leader is about to be born. Toleration is the graveyard of leaders. When I reached a stage when I could not tolerate my work and the pressure, I cried to God for a way out, and through His help, I discovered who I was really meant to be. I discovered my God-given purpose. At over 60 now, I still love what I do, and I thank God for guiding me and leading me up to this day. Trust God for a breakthrough today. He says in Jeremiah 33:3, "Call unto me, and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things that you do not know." Most people don't know what they are capable of. They look down upon themselves. I am saying God is urging you to call unto Him, and He will show you some shocking gifts and strengths that you did not even know you possessed. God showed me the leadership, the greatness and entrepreneurship spirit that was in me, which I had never dreamt of before. Put your trust in Him and you will get your breakthrough. Ask God to reveal your purpose or your gift, because your potential is determined by your purpose. Why are you here on earth? Why were you created? We all have a purpose and a God-given gift. Pray that the Lord will show it to you. Moses dilly-dallied when God told him He wanted him to deliver his children from Pharaoh. He looked for excuses. The gift and the ability were already in him. Did he ever think he is going to be Moses the lawgiver? No, I don't think so. But God guided him to be now known as the greatest leader that ever lived. Each of you use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Peter 4.10. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, He will establish your plans. Proverbs 16:3. God believes in the ability and brilliance of each one, but we limit ourselves through wrong confessions and unbelief. Trust God and commit whatever you want to achieve in life into His capable hands. He will never let you down. I am a testimony to this. Appendix: A business inspirational quotes. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. Play by the rules, but be ferocious. Phil Knight. Business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. Richard Branson. Every problem is a gift. Without problems, we would not grow. Anthony Robbins. You only have to do a few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong. Warren Buffett. Success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Henry David Thoreau. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Anais Nin. There is no shortage of remarkable ideas. What's missing is the will to execute them. Seth Godin. I owe my success to having listened respectfully to the very best advice, and then going away and doing the exact opposite. G. K. Chesterton. Far and away the best prize that life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. Theodore Roosevelt. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Walt Disney. There are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. Colin Powell. Success is often achieved by those who don't know that failure is inevitable. Coco Chanel. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Thomas Edison. I feel that luck is preparation meeting opportunity.